So I have a special guest. She is a rarity to be seen with the Roper Outdoors thing, but she is very much behind the scenes. It is none other than my mother, Doris Roper. And so, also featured on that Legacy edition is my grandfather, who we refer to as Big Daddy. And that is her father. So, Mama, share a little bit about Big Daddy and kind of where you guys live and how that kind of played a role into this fishing.
It's a pleasure to be here with you, Jarad. My father's name was Odell Graham, and we lived about 4.5 miles southeast of Madison, Arkansas, on a little place called Otter Pond. And my father was a farmer and a sharecropper, and we worked hard year round. But one of the things I remember looking forward to was on a Saturday morning when we would all go down to the lake, which was just down the hill from our house. And this lake was off of St. Francis River. And they said it didn't have a bottom. It was a bottomless place, and it never went dry. And it had some of the best fishing around. And my father was an avid fisherman, a hunter. Dad would go fishing, and we would end up, all of us sitting there on the banks of Otter Pond, and Dad is pulling them out left and right, and we'd walk away with a tub, a number three tub, if you know what I'm talking about.
Not a stringer,
fish,
but
not
a
a
tub.
stringer, a number three tub of crappie and catfish, and even he caught buffalo and perch. And so those were fond memories that I have of being on Otter Pond with my father fishing.
Yeah. And like mother said, that she, granddad, Big Daddy was a sharecropper, and they call me a little Odell Graham because another thing that he was an avid farmer. You said you guys always had a garden.
Always.
And for those that don't know, I got into farming, and so I've always wanted my own animals, chickens and hogs and the whole 9 yards. So not only do I have fishing at heart, and that comes from both sides of the family, granddad, Sugar Pie, and then Big Daddy, but also that farming comes directly from Big Daddy. And on this side, well, a little bit, this is kind of off course a little bit, but I wanted some people to know, because this is Black History Month, some people might not know about the school schedule with farming. So explain that. It's amazing.
Yeah, we went to schools like they call it split season.
Split season.
Yeah, and we were allowed to bring in the crop. We harvested the crop of the cotton crop, and we rarely got to school right after Thanksgiving because we were in the fields and picking cotton. And once that season ended, we were picking cotton and pulling cotton and whatever it took to get that crop in. And once that season was over, we were expected to get back to school and to bring in A's and B's, preferably all A's. So it was a hard time, but it was a good time. And I love the farm today. And we grew everything we ate, especially all the vegetables. My father, we had cows, and we had pigs, and we had horses, and we had goats, and we had chickens. And so the most that I remember them spending money on was flour and cornmeal, salt and pepper. But it was a hard time, but a good time.
Right. And then Big Mama, also Big Mama. She's not on that the Legacy Edition pack. You won't see her picture, but she is very much part of reason why I fish too, because Big Mama was a fisherman.
Yes.
And a fisherwoman. And you can talk about that hole in the wall also, Mama.
Yeah, Tommy and I took Mom fishing with us one day, and We took her to the hole in the wall, and we had the best time. We caught some of the biggest crappie that I've ever seen in my life. Uh, the fish was so big that you know the black 10-inch bigger skillet,
Cast iron.
cast iron skillet. Well, one crappie, the whole crappie couldn't fit in there, so we had to cut the tails off, we cut the fins off, and we had to cut it down the middle on that back breastbone. Well, whatever that bone is.
Yeah,
that
right there on the,
yeah,
on
right
the
there on the
spine.
back, in order for it to fit into the skillet. And you talk about good eating after that. And Mom enjoyed herself. She really had fun that day, and that's the last time I remember us taking her fishing. But it was a great day, and she
so-
really enjoyed herself.
And so for people that don't know a little bit more about my mother, and so she likes to go fishing too, and occasionally she gets to go occasionally because my mom is also a licensed funeral director here in the state of New Jersey. So she helps out at the funeral home and all that type of stuff, and it's pretty busy, pretty busy from morning to night. But Mom, I just want you to just know just a little bit more about my mom. Mom, you have how many masters?
I have a master's in social work, and I have a master's in education.
Right. And so, guys, I refer to my mom. For those that don't know, I think my mom, she reminds me for sure of Felicia Rashad. And I grew up and thinking that she was Claire Huxtable. But just both my mom, my dad, and everyone that you see on there, if it wasn't for them, you would not hear, see anything with Roper Outdoors. I wouldn't be in fishing. I would probably be doing something else. But they've always pushed me to follow after my dreams. Growing up, I had three people. There's three pictures on our wall, and I grew up with a picture of Dr. King with the various. Remember that picture with the various points of his life. But I say that I'm a combination of three people. I've always said this. I'm a combination of Martin Luther King, a combination of Malcolm X, and a combination of Nelson Mandela. And so, but this is, like I said, when Dad was sitting here, a lot of people shy away from these subjects and all that, but I think in order for us to understand where we're going in the future, we need to make sure that we understand where we came from. And I think we need to honor people, and honor especially those that have went in the past. So those that are featured on that jig pack is not only people that have died, but people that are present, because my father and mother are on there, and they are very much alive. So thank you all so much, and hopefully you enjoyed and learned a lot. As we talked about, kind of celebrating us coming up with this idea to bring the Legacy Edition, jigs. But before I end, there was a school back then called Lincoln High.
Yeah.
And we want to kind of give homage to that place because that's. Remember I mentioned about my father's mentor and basically his father figure after Granddad died, Reverend Dr. J.F. Cooley. He was very involved. But Mom, you went back to that time. It was segregation.
Yeah.
And my father, my mom, and Dad went to Lincoln High, which was a all-black school.
Yes.
But my dad is the first part of that first group to integrate the place called Forest City High. And you hear a lot about the Little Rock Nine, but you don't hear about the small group that went over to Forest City. And just as it was interesting in Little Rock at that time, it sure enough was
Very.
was interesting
Very.
during that time during the integration, because around that time uh, their school burned down. Lincoln High, the junior high school,
Yeah.
burned down because of some, sure enough, heated disagreements within
Yes.
the community.
Yeah, and it was all because Reverend Cooley was fired in that school district, and that was the era of my sister Ann. That it was that class, that
It's
junior
Quincy's
high
fault.
class.
It was Quincy's fault.
That they didn't take that well because Reverend Cooley was loved by everyone of us, and they didn't take it well, and so they got a little rambunctious, and they did some damage.
Right. And all this stuff you can actually, there is pictures of that for sure. And Mr. Cooley was well known not just within Arkansas but around. Mr. Cooley took. He was like I said, a community man, and also was very involved with children.
Yes.
Was very involved in children and taking them to Washington D.C. and places like that. And
yeah, he took. My husband played baseball with Dr. Cooley, and we also had Cooley's Athletic Club. That as teenagers we had a place to go to, and that we could be safe, and our parents felt safe for us being there. And Reverend Cooley and his wife, Mrs. Cooley at that time, they took care of us.
right.
And they provided for us, and we had recreation and clean fun back in the day, and it took a whole village to raise us, and that's exactly what we had.
Yeah. And so, ending with this, my father, after Reverend Cooley left town, they picked up that mantle. My parents, my dad and mom picked up that mantle, and then they ran basically that school, that teens and Dad and Reverend Faulkner and the late Reverend Mosby and
Mayor Bryant.
Larry Bryant. There's an article I wrote about perseverance, and in that article, this is a long time ago, when we kind of first got started fishing, and I was talking about all the adversities. And in that article, I mentioned a line about if Larry Bryant gave up after the first times of running, he would have never been the first black mayor of Forest City, Arkansas, where I live now. He also was integral. Elder Bean, we call him Arthur Bean. He was also in part of that. And they had a baseball club. And Mom would run. Y'all did T-ball.
I had a softball.
Softball team. Softball. Yeah. And that was big. I mean, huge. And so now, as of right now, speed up to date, all of us are pastors. So my dad pastors Harvestfield Ministries Church in Forest City, Arkansas, where my mom is the co-pastor, and I'm one of the associate pastors. So, but we said all that to say, when you keep on hearing us saying it takes a village to raise a child, legacy, honor, I think that is all the ingredients to being a good civilian, to be a good citizen. And those are things that I think we need to get back to, teaching our kids, and sometimes, sad part now, reteaching our adults that about honor, respect, legacy, and community. And like I said, if it wasn't for all of that, you wouldn't see any of this. So thank you, Mom, for coming on, sharing some history.
It was my honor.
And hopefully you all enjoyed this and learned. So again, be safe, use wisdom. We all had COVID.
Yes.
She was worse off than all of us. But by the grace of God and the wisdom of God, we pulled through.
Yes.
Stay safe. It's not a hoax. It is real. So God bless you and have a great time on the water. We'll talk to you soon.
God bless.